Stanley Mate is manager for communication and public relations at the Ghana Water Company Limited. He's joined us on the line for more on this. Mr. Mate, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yes, thank you very much.
Is it a deliberate thing that you're targeting secondary schools, or they just happen to be in your path?
Okay, thank you very much. Per our standard operating procedure, okay, we do not disconnect schools. Schools are classified as essential service providers, so we do not disconnect them. We only disconnect when they have been recalcitrant in the payment of their bills, or when they have deliberately refused to settle their bills. Sometimes we receive communique from the secretariat that handles free SHS that we should go ahead and disconnect some of the schools, maybe because they have released their funds to them and all that. So we go there to demand for the money, and most schools will pay without fail if it so happens. So what you are hearing in recent times is that we go into demand for our money, and so far we haven't disconnected any of the schools. We may have to do a recheck, but we have requested and demanded for our money, but we haven't done any disconnection yet. We will also not hesitate to disconnect when we realize that they are deliberately refusing to pay. So that caution must go to all essential providers, that if they fail to pay, then we'll be left with no other option than to have the schools disconnected.
But we have picked information that the schools are mentioned, Chemu Secondary, Adan Secondary, Olam Secondary, at least these schools have been disconnected by your task force. You're saying that this did not happen? Then who could have done the disconnection?
We have gone there to demand for our money, and failure to do that, we will disconnect. So I'm sure they are assuming that since they haven't done a payment, you are disconnected. But we haven't disconnected as of now, and they can check again. If any schools think that or feel or know that they have been disconnected, they can draw my attention to that, and that will be rectified. And if there's a reason why they have been disconnected, we'll also make them aware. So I am not saying that we do not disconnect schools. We disconnect schools, but based on certain reasons. And if any of the schools fall into that category, we will disconnect. But as I speak and per my checks, we haven't disconnected any school as I speak. But that does not mean that even tomorrow, when we go to some of the schools and they refuse to pay, we won't disconnect them.
I see. But who pays for water in secondary schools? Is it the school through its own IGF, or the government has an agreement with you where a check is issued to you? How does it work? So why are you disconnecting the schools and not going to the ministry, for instance?
Okay, so there's a secretariat that handles free SHS. So we get our payment from that secretariat, and sometimes the monies are released to the schools. So they inform us that the monies have been released and we should demand our money from the schools. If the schools haven't received the money and they have it, they will pay to us directly. Sometimes they pay in bulk, and sometimes we collect from the individual schools or some of the schools. So that is the situation. But like I said, we add some human face because they are essential service providers. In the event where they are recalcitrant and deliberately refusing to pay, we have them disconnected.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We hope that it doesn't get there.
Yes, I pray so too.
I appreciate it. That's Stanley Mate. He's head of, or manager in charge of communication and public relations at the Ghana Water Company Limited.